Hi, my name is Steve Willock from Pedal Deck UK, and today we're going to show you a short video of how to install a Voodoo Lab Power Supply, like this 4x4, into the Pedal Deck Artist Series pedal board that uses the pre-drilled slots on the blades and the brackets as provided. It's a really easy job, no drilling is required, and all you need to complete this work is the Allen key that's provided in the pack and a small screwdriver to attach our pedal power. Let's see how we get on. Okay, the first thing to notice is make sure you've got everything that was in your pedal deck package. That includes a brief installation guide which shows you how to install a Voodoo Lab Power Supply. Indeed, it pretty much works with all power supplies once you've got the brackets to fit. I'm going to put those instructions to one side just for a moment because we're actually going to show you how to do it right now. Also included in the package there will be 3 brackets. Obviously we only need 2. But this bigger bracket is to assist when installing the smaller digital ISO 5 digital pedals or the smaller power supplies that are available from Voodoo Lab. So you need that extra width on the bracket. Again, we can come to that in a later video. Okay, today we're going to be installing the Voodoo Lab's Pedal Power 4x4, very popular size of power supplies. It's exactly the same size as the Pedal Power 2, a number of other pedal supplies in power supplies in their range. Included in your pedal deck pack, you've obviously got the board, you've got the brackets that are going to fit this particular unit, you've got the bolts to hold it into place in the board itself, you've got an Allen key to tighten all of that up. All you're going to need in addition is a small screwdriver, and this is because the Voodoo Lab Rangers is just it's a clamshell case that holds the power supply together, and we're going to use the 2 small screws on each side of the power supply to fit our brackets in. And before we do that, we want to make sure that we're going to fit our brackets onto the unit in exactly the right location. So take the power supply, you can see where your power outlet or inlet is for the 3-pin kettle lead that comes with the unit. When the board is upside down like this, the label is always going to go to the ground. The power supply is always going to go to the back of the board. So we're simply going to place it in to the slot provided. Just slots in there. There's a little bit of movement there, so it can slide around. And you can see where the locator slots are in the actual board itself. I'm just going to spin that around slightly there so we can see those. There's a number of different slots along the way here. And by holding a bracket roughly in place as well, like so, you can see where the best slots are to line up with your particular board. Okay, so let's lift the power supply out of the board and let's fit the brackets in there. If we keep it in that position, it makes it really simple. And we're just going to take this do one side at a time. We're just going to take the screws out of the side casing here. It's not going to do any damage to the supply whatsoever while we do this. Just whip those out very briefly, and then we're going to put the bracket in position. So we're going to want the bolt to be on the low side and the brackets at the top there, with the bolt for the bracket facing to the side away from the main power inlet. So just pop those screws back in. The brackets are pre-drilled and aligned to the holes in the Voodoo Lab supply. So they go in. That's one side done. Nice and firm, and we'll just repeat that on the opposite side. So there we have it. Now our 4x4 pedal power is ready to be fitted into our Artist Series pedal deck board. Let's return to the board itself, and we know that the power supply is going to match up to one of these power inlets on the back here, and that our brackets are going to match up with a relative slot to bolt through onto on this position here. So let's just pop our power supply back in, line that up with a couple of the slots, making sure that that's a nice neat fit on our power supply on the back, which it is, so that's a perfect position. It's pretty central on the board with a 4x4 or this size of power supply. And if we just move the board around there now, we can see that the brackets themselves are positioned against these slots. Now these are a slotted hole for a reason rather than a round hole, and that's because we can't always guarantee that Voodoo Labs are going to put their power supply in exactly the same position to the millimetre, in the same way that we may have slight variations in manufacture when this is pressed. So that slot just allows a little bit of lateral movement to make sure that everything aligns up perfectly once the thing is installed. All that's left to do now is to put the bolts through and tighten up using the Allen key that's provided. Now this is the bolts that are pre-fitted into the bracket itself. Makes this a really simple job. You can just knit those up by hand initially, and the same on the other side through the foot. It's a perfect fit. Just knit that up by hand, and then just use the Allen key provided to tighten up. Okay, and once that final turn there, just to tighten the last bolt into position is done, that's it. That's your power supply fitted. You can see the brackets have held this thing very firmly in position now. The bolts mean that if you needed to remove this and maybe switch it into another board, it's really, really easy to do so. You're not going to damage anything. When you flip the unit over, you can see that the power inlet there is perfectly aligned to one of the 3 pre-drilled holes that's in the Pedal Deck RC Series board. Of course, there are 3 holes in the RC Series because it will accommodate every power supply in the Voodoo Lab range, right up to the Mondo, which of course have got its inlet and outlet power supplies in slightly different locations. The bracket, the spare bracket, this is if you ever use a power supply that's one of the smaller sizes. But essentially, that's it. No drilling, no mess, no problems, 5 minutes of a job.